Hey, good morning. Chuck here with Apple Drains. Today we're up here on Lake Norman. You can see the lake behind us here, working on a crawl space. And crawl space is right by the lake. We've done a few basements here actually, and there's a lot of water because the water table is very high in the ground here. So let's go ahead and get the sump pump in there and pump it out. So let's go in the crawl space, take a look. We've already got Chuck digging out here. He's going to be loading up these buckets. A little bit extra work here because he's got such a big rise of the soil here down to the low spot of the crawl space. You can see he's already got a bucket filled up. And you can see over in the corner there, that's actually a fireplace. And the footer's out there and you can see the mud down there. But basically we're going to put a sump pump right here in this corner. We're going to core this wall, send it outside for the discharge. So you can see the area where we're working. Of course there's this big rise of this crawl space where they've graded it out down to the footer of this is a fireplace. So we've got to take out quite a bit of extra soil just to get down to start the pit. But again, it's just dirt, good shovel, couple buckets, take your time, you can easily do this. We're going to core through that wall just below that vent and send it outside, and it's just going to discharge outside. So while Chuck's digging in here, he'll have this done in probably about 30 minutes. I'll be outside with the hammer drill. We're going to drill through that wall. So you bring your buckets out, and hopefully you've got a place where you can pour out your excess soil. You can see we're raking it away from the side of the house here. Just pull away all of the straw and mulch. We'll put it along here and just grade it out. So we're going to set up our Bosch hammer drill. Yeah, our drill gets a little dirty sometimes, but we're using a 2-inch diamond core bit. These are industrial diamonds here on the end of it, and you can see it's got the masonry bit that goes inside. This cores right through the wall. This is a hammer drill, and the hammer drill actually hammers at the same time it rotates, able to core out a nice 2-inch hole for our 1.5-inch PVC. Kind of an unusual spot to get into. He's got a deck here, and it's kind of neat. He's put some grill around here to keep any animals or varmints out, but got to crawl through this opening just to get into the area where we're bringing the discharge out. So the way that we're finding the measurement is we're using the vent as our guide, and basically our sump pit is about right here inside the crawl space. We're going to use this vent. We're going to come down way down to here, and we're going to drill through. So let's just see what we got here. So that's through the portion, the hollow portion of the block. Now we just gotta make sure we line it up nice and straight. So you can see our core goes straight through the block, and you can see the light on the other side. That's right where the sump pump is, I hope. So now it's time to set up our sump pit, and this is a basic pit from NDS, National Drainage Systems. It's a 24-inch pit. Actually, it's 22 or 23 inches. 24-inch opening, and it's got spots to bring in the footer tiles, the perimeter tile, footer pipe. But what we want to do is we want to go ahead and drill some holes in the bottom. This is because it acts like a boat. Water is going to rush in along the side of it, and we want that water to come up through that so the pump can lift it out. Otherwise, it would be like a boat and it will float upwards. So we need to put a few holes in there. This is for the crawl space. In your basement, you're going to pour a floor around it, and the concrete holds it in place. We're also going to perforate the sides of it. This is to help the water get into the pit. The more holes, the faster it goes. Helps to have a really good drill bit. So this pit's really ready to set up because we're not putting the perimeter tiles in there today. We're just putting a sump pump in, and so we need this gravel around the outside of the pit. That's going to help the water flow into the pit. Now we're ready to set up our sump pump. Today we're using a Utilitech. I've had pretty good luck with these. It's a low-cost alternative to the Zoller. Save you about $100. This is 1/3 of a horsepower. Great little pump, but it's got this pole switch that has to float up. Sometimes this can get stuck on the side of the pit. So I've shortened that up to make sure that it doesn't get stuck in there. But it sets up the same way as any other 1/3 of a horsepower, 1.5" discharge. You start with a male threaded 1.5" adapter. It screws right into place. You just put it in there hand tight. Next, we're going to cut a piece of pipe to put on our check valve, and we're going to cut it a little bit longer than we normally do on the Zoller because this piece swings upward. So I'm just going to use my saw for the measurement. Just mark it out and cut right through it. Good sharp blade makes a big difference. This piece is going to stick in here. We'll glue that up. Next, we put on our check valve. Remember, we need the check valve. This stops the water from coming back down and spinning this impeller backwards. It also helps keep the pump a little bit more quiet. This is held together with rubber no-hubs right here and here. It has an arrow, which you probably can't see, but it has an arrow that tells you the direction of water flow. We're going to put on the first stainless steel clamp, put on the check valve, slide your clamp back in place using your handy dandy Black & Decker drill with a 5/16" bit. You go ahead and secure that just as tight as your drill can make it. Now we're ready to go ahead and glue this up. So let's just check it and make sure. We'll set this pump down in the pit. Let's just see where this check valve is. Oh, it's perfect, just perfect. So we can go ahead and glue that up. So using our PVC cement, this is an Oatly product, it's a medium bond. There's lots of cements out there, but a good medium bond PVC cement works really good. Just go ahead and coat the end of the PVC pipe, slide it into your fitting, twist it, hold it, give it a few seconds to set up. Once this sets, it's permanent. That's it. So now we're ready to go down and put this pit into the crawl space. Remember that it's going to have a riser that comes up, out, and at the top of that riser we're going to put a 90 on it and come through the foundation wall. We'll make those measurements once we put the pit in place so we can get a perfect fit. So you can see we set our pit down in the hole and it fits perfectly, just perfect. And we're going to go ahead and plumb that up, and you can see the core where we're going to take the PVC out through the wall. So let's go ahead and set that up. So through the core that we just made, we're sliding a piece of 1.5 inch PVC. That's good. We slide that through, and now we're able to make this plumbing connection from the sump pump down here. We're going to put a 90 on it right here, and it'll go right through the wall. So to make this measurement, we're going to stick our 90 on here. Just, we're not gluing anything. And then we're going to go ahead and make a mark. Use your finger, whatever you want, pencil, but I just like to use my finger to hold it. Then take your really good hacksaw, and we're going to go ahead and cut this. Make the mark on the saw as well. Remember that you need to cut this to the top of this coupling, and it has to be a pretty good cut, because there's not a lot of play here. So you can see this is a really tight fit. Remember that there is a check valve right here. It's going to give you a little bit of cushion where you can push or bend this pipe so that it fits tightly into this fitting. Let's go ahead and get our glue out. And first I want to go ahead and glue the 90 up at the top. Good amount of glue, push and hold. That sets. We're a perfect spot right there. Now we're going to go ahead and fit this together. This takes a little bit of work because it is a tight fit, but not that bad. Good amount of glue. Push down on your pump. Pull it up tight. And we're set. This is now together, and everything's ready to go here. Basically, you can see the pump at the bottom of the pit, check valve, the riser coming up, out through the wall. We'll go outside and plumb that across the ground there where he wants that to go. So we're going to go ahead and chisel off this lip. You can see a lip there on the footer, and you can see the water behind that. We got to get that over to the sump pit, so we're going to use our hammer drill for that. This is just a lot of overpour, so you can see the hammer drill just takes it right off of there. Next, I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole for our discharge. We need a hole through the solid lid cover. There's our hole. You can see our sump pump down in there. Let's go ahead and plumb this together, and we'll be ready to pour the rest of the gravel. Lid on. Brought our power cord up out. We just secure that here to the top temporarily, and then he'll have an electrician come in and put a GFI outlet somewhere where this plug can reach to it right here. Next, we're going to go ahead and gravel all this area back in here so that water can flow through and over to the pit. Okay, so now we're ready to plumb the discharge. We've cored through the wall here. We're going to cut the PVC off here, put a 90 on it, direct it down, and send it across the ground. So let's go ahead and cut this off. Remember that we can pull this out a little bit. It's loose inside, so we can always push it back and make it tight. Clean off your burrs. Now we're just going to make some dry measurements. We're going to stick our 90 on there, and I like to use my saw to make the measurement down here. It's just going to be right to the top of the ground, so somewhere right in here. Make that measurement and just cut it off. You can see how it's going to set up, just like this, with our piece of PVC sticking out, going out to the discharge. So let's go ahead and glue up our discharge. Good amount of glue. We'll put 190 on there. Just twist and hold it. The other 90 is going to be at the other end, and it's going to go exactly the opposite direction. But I do like to work from the top down, so we'll put this 90 on. Just make sure it's pointing down, looking good. Remember, this piece can slide in and out, so we're all good. Now we're going to go ahead and glue up our discharge. Good amount of glue. Just push it right up in there and hold it. We're set there. Now we just put our last piece on. Whoops, can't see. Put our last piece on. And this is our final discharge going out. And we're all set. So you can see from the pump coming through the wall down, and we're just discharging here at this point. We may have to come back, and depending on, this guy's selling his house, so we wanted to run it out there to the water, but for right now we're just discharging it right here. So you can see our finished area here. Remember that we chiseled through that concrete footer just to help that water get over to our sump pit. Then we added a lot of gravel around here so that the water, if water does come into this area, can easily migrate over to the sump pit. Sump pump's plugged in, ready to go, cord through the wall, and we're done. So we got here about 9 o'clock. This took about 2 hours for us to do, and it's something that the homeowner can easily do themselves. Our parts here were about $350. You know, you can save $1,000 by doing this yourself. It's really not that hard. We started by digging this sump pit. Let's take a look. Turn it around. We started by digging this sump pit. This is a 24-inch depth pit, so 2 feet deep. And Chuck did this in, it probably only took him an hour to do this. How many buckets did you take out of there?
About 12, 14.
12 or 14 buckets of dirt. We put that on the side of the house. And then we went ahead and plumbed the sump pump, which we've got down in there, which we showed you. Discharge line comes out through the wall, discharges out underneath the deck. We also gravelled this area, and you can see all the gravel down here. Remember, there was a flood over here, so we had to get this water to move across that concrete. We chiseled a little channel for that, brought it over to the sump pit, and we're done. Really a simple project, something that you can do yourself. Come up here. Something that the homeowner can do themselves. Real simple to do. If you have any problems or questions, you can always Skype us. We've got a Skype consultation to help you get through it. $25. Real simple and a lot of information.
Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Dreams. Reminding you, if you believe you can do it, I guarantee you can. Have a great day.